Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips for self-care and self-nourishment on the spiritual path. All of these have helped me so much on my journey, and I hope that you guys will find them very helpful, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you so much. Tip number 1 is meditation. Meditation is so helpful on the spiritual path because it really helps us to not only still the mind and come to a state of peace, but it also helps us to transcend the mind and to really self-realize ourselves as something more vast, more spacious, more eternal and infinite than just the thinking mind. And another really great thing about meditation, for those of us going through difficult spiritual and energetic times, is that it really helps us to release energy. So if you can get really still and if you can fall deep into a meditation, what you will actually feel is that energy is able to release and energy is able to transmute. And in this way, meditation will bring much more of a balance to your spiritual practice and your spiritual path. Tip number 2 is Yin Yoga. Yoga in general is just a really great practice to incorporate into your daily routine, but I've really found Yin Yoga to be the most nourishing and rejuvenating type of yoga there is. A big reason why is because a lot of our energies and darker emotions that we've repressed and suppressed, they get really stuck up in the connective tissues in our body. And with Yin Yoga, because you're holding poses for 3 minutes, sometimes up to 5 minutes or even longer, you're really allowing all of these emotions and energies and feelings to release and to come up to the surface, to be felt and accepted and ultimately loved and released or healed or transmuted. And Yin Yoga is, I've said it to people before, it's better than any drug I've ever tried. I mean, if you are able to do a 45-minute to a 1-hour Yin Yoga class, you are going to feel so at peace, at rest, so clear. It's just such a beautiful way to show yourself some love and to really take care of your body and your mind and your spirit. Tip number 3 is crying. Crying has to be one of the most, if not the most, cathartic and healing experiences that I've had on this path. You just experience your pain and your wounds and your self-doubt with so much compassion and non-judgment when you just allow yourself to really cry. And sometimes it will be these tears of sadness and grief. You might even have tears of joy, and it will be more of a lighter cry, but sometimes you'll have this deep guttural cry, like this wailing cry. And that's also very healing. So no matter how the emotion, how the pain and the trauma wants to come out, wants to come through you, just allow it to happen. You'll be really happy you did. I know scientifically there's dozens and dozens of reasons why crying is really good for you. I know it releases toxins, and after you're done crying, you feel this sense of peace. You feel like you've just released and a lot of negativity, and crying can be a very, very beautiful way to help your healing process on the spiritual path. I cannot recommend it enough. Tip number 4 is deep rest. The kind of rest where there's no distractions, there's no phone, music, anything. It's just you in bed, just deeply resting and just really allowing yourself that space from the outside world, space from everyone else that you need, and just where you're just really nourishing and nurturing yourself, cuddled up in bed. And it's just an experience where you're just guilt-free, no bringing any guilt to this. It could be a stage when you're going through a lot of chronic fatigue. I know I've been through that a lot. But it's where like you know what you need. And sometimes we need to just rest all day, maybe even for days at a time. And a lot of the times when we're depressed, what we need is deep rest. Because if we're depressed, it means our body is going through a change, a transformation. It's bringing us from an old track onto a new one. And to transform to that magnitude, we need this womb phase. And we need, if we are able to sink in and embrace this womb phase through guilt-free deep rest, we'll find that the fatigue will last shorter amounts of time and that we won't need as much of it and it won't last as long. So I really have had so many periods on my path where deep rest was essential, and I hope you'll try this tip as well. Self-care tip number 5 is nature. Getting out in nature amongst the trees, even if it's a desert, the cactus, the mountains, the water, just the peace and the stillness of nature. It has such a healing vibration on our beings and our body. And it doesn't have to be a long hike. It doesn't have to be anything vigorous. Even just going out and sitting in nature, or even if there's just a small park near you, just going and being in the park. A great thing to do if you're having trouble grounding energy and you feel like you're going kind of crazy, is to walk barefoot in grass. Walking barefoot on a beach is one of the best feelings that you can have on this path. So any type of thing where you can get out in nature, put a blanket out, maybe just lay in the grass, prayer in nature, meditation in nature, and you'll find if you can combine a lot of these self-help tips, it's going to be really helpful. But nature has been a huge part of my healing process, and it's something that I've always leaned on when I felt like I just was kind of out of answers and didn't know what to do. Going out in nature is always a really great way to ground yourself and center yourself. Those were the first 5 tips on self-care for the spiritual path. I'm going to be releasing 2 other videos just like this, each with 5 other self-care tips. I just feel like it's such an important part of this path and something that we all must learn out of necessity, because this can be very difficult and very challenging. And if we don't know how to take care of ourselves, it can make it even more difficult, even harder than it has to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first 5 self-care tips, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much, and namaste.